Welcome to our tutorial about tracing. In our previous tutorial, we learned how to debug an application during the development stage. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to monitor our application live. To do so, we're going to be employing the tracing functionality of ASP.NET. To enable the tracing functionality, select Website from the main menu, ASP.NET Configuration. We saw this website's administrative interface in a previous tutorial. Let's begin by choosing Application. Here we have a section called Configure Debugging and Tracing. We're going to enable Capture Tracing Information. Let's also display tracing information on individual pages. Down here, we can choose whether to display the tracing output for local requests or for all requests. This means that you view the application from the same computer where the server is running. Here, we can also set the order for the trace results, specify the number of trace requests to cache, and select which trace results to cache. Click Back, and that'll save your settings. Now let's return to our application and run it. You see here the tracing information was provided in a few different categories. First, the Request Details section provides some basic information such as session ID, time of request, and so on. The Trace Information section shows different stages of the page processing before it is sent to the client. Some of these stages include begin load, end load, and they also show how long it took to complete the request. The Control Tree section displays the hierarchies of controls on the page. You see here that some of the controls are inside other controls and so on. We can look at session state, application state, review requests, and response cookie collections. Next is the headers collection. This is the information sent from the web browser to the server as part of the request. Below, we've got form collection, query string collection, server variables. There is obviously a lot of information which you can monitor here. Let's go and modify some of our parameters. We'll begin by modifying our tracing settings. Let's display the trace output for all requests. This lets me monitor other users' activity. I want to uncheck Display Tracing Information on individual pages so clients aren't able to see this information. And I save these settings by clicking the Back button. Let's run our application again. We don't see any trace information here. Let's go to File, New Window, and type in the path trace.axd. Here we can view the application trace. Click on Details and monitor those which are necessary for you. Let's go here and refresh it a few times. As you see, we have 2 more requests. Let's go back. We also have the ability to clear the current trace. Let's stop our application now. We can also insert our information onto the trace screen itself. Here we have the option to use the warn or write methods. They're pretty much the same, just the warning will appear with a red tag. Let's try trace.warn, and our string will be "This is my text." Now let's run our application. File, New Window, type in the path trace.axt. Let's view more details. Here's my custom message in red. Now once again, if we used a write message instead of a warn message, the text would be black instead of red. You can see that this message occurred between the beginning and the end of the page load. As another option for enabling and disabling tracing, we can programmatically activate and deactivate the trace functionality simply by typing the code directly into our application. Let's disable capture tracing information. Back. And stop our application. I'm going to right-click and paste this line of code here. Trace.isEnabled equals true. Let's run our application again. As you see, we programmatically turned on the tracing functionality for this particular page. Of course, instead of using the page load procedure, we could use the button's click event procedure. Right-click, paste. Now let's make the trace enabled false. And our trace functionality is turned off. When I click the result button, oops, let's try that again. Run our application. Okay, let's enter some values here and click result. And as you can see, the tracing functionality is now off. And this concludes our tutorial about tracing.